In conversation with Don Smith-Theodore. Don Smith is a respected psychotherapist and eating disorder expert with over 20 years of experience, as well as being recovered from anorexia herself. She was a professional dancer and a former flight attendant and owned a dance studio in Los Angeles for 25 years. An esteemed author and host of the show TuTu Thin, a podcast for dancer, Dawn provides insight from a dance professional's perspective, helping dancers and parents around the world navigate healthy living. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today, Dawn Smith. How are you doing, Dawn?
I'm very good. How about you?
I'm doing very fine. It's so lovely, actually, to have you on the show today. Thanks for coming
Thank
on
you.
to have a conversation around your books.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate you having me.
you're welcome, really. Yeah. So, Don, I would like you to tell us about your book, Mother, Men, and Me, a memoir of anxiety, anorexia, and our fears, which I found the description page of it to be quite amazing, lovely, and awesome. And I particularly would love to say that I love the title name, yeah, and knowing also that it's a memoir is something quite admirable as well. But then I'd like to ask you, what inspired you to write Mother, Men, and Me? And how do you come about this title even?
Um, what what inspired me to write it is people always told me that I had an interesting story
Mm,
and that I should definitely write a book. And I think everybody has an interesting story. So,
yeah.
being a therapist, it's like everybody has a story to tell. But I decided to tell mine. And mine is about I was an only child, and it's about my relationship with my mother, her
Mm,
relationship with men, and how it impacted me. And, it highlights, just my struggle with anorexia and how I recovered from anorexia and how it's brought me to where I am today, which I'm a psychotherapist who treats eating disorders. And
wow.
so, I wanted to write it as an inspiration for people that you can go through difficult times and
Mm,
and come out on the other end and be able to live and not just survive.
wow. And be able to live and not just survive. I love the last part, really. Thank you so much for sharing. Sounds quite amazing and quite lovely to me. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just in case of readers who haven't read the book yet, and of course without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect in terms of teams picking up Mother, Men, and Me?
Well, it's a family, it's about a relationship between a mother and daughter. It's about family lies and deception within a family. Um,
Wow.
and it's about, how people work through when they find out things in their life aren't actually the way they thought that it was, um, and what you do with that information and how it impacts you. So, I think it's something that most people can relate to because, especially mother-daughter or family conflict, we
Mm,
all have that, and we all have issues within our families, and, there all families have some type of secret, and as I call
absolutely.
it, the skeleton in the closet. So this is no different, and, um, it's a lot of ups and downs and, um, you know, the things that my mom did that impacted me, but I still loved her very much,
Mm.
and the book spans our relationship until my mom passed away.
Oh, wow. It's quite lovely to hear this from you. It's quite nice to get to know its mother and daughter in a relationship, deception within family, and family dynamics as well. Sounds quite amazing and like a very fun team. And if you have a copy of the book there, I'd love you to show to the camera just so
I
we see what
do,
it looks
right
like.
here.
Interesting. Oh, I
So
love
the
this
front
cover
of the book
design.
is
Yeah.
a scale with point shoes on it. because my mother and I were both dancers. I was a professional dancer. I grew up in a dancing school,
Oh,
and so the scale, because of recovering from anorexia, and then the torn back I picked because it's, secrets, the
mm,
tearing back the layers of deception in the family.
oh wow. That's amazing, actually. Following on from your answer to that, I'd love to ask you, what do you hope that readers learn from reading the book?
I hope that readers see that, well, a couple things. One is, as I said earlier,
Yeah,
that readers see that you can go through difficult times and come out and
mm,
survive and live, not just survive, but to learn to live. And the other is that, you know, in the book, I was a professional dancer, I was a flight attendant, I owned my own dancing school, and now I'm a psychotherapist. I think
mm,
people can change, you can reinvent yourself into different things, and you don't
absolutely.
just have to be stuck into one occupation. And so
Occupation.
I also want people to think that don't give up on yourself. Nothing is impossible.
Mm,
And just keep moving forward and trying. And people get stuck on, well, this isn't going to work, or, I'm going to be rejected. No, just keep trying, because
mm,
something will work and the right thing ends up happening. And what
absolutely.
doesn't work out for us is, then we learn from our adversity.
Mm. We learn from our adversity. Yeah, I love your take on this, actually. And your book sounds quite amazing to me, and a bit, it's something quite, I would love to pick up afterward. Yeah, it sounds quite lovely to me, really. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And you also have another book and the name of TuTu Thin, yeah? A Guide to
Yeah,
Dancing Without an Eating Disorder. Would you like
there
to
you go.
tell us a bit about the making of it too? Lovely cover as well.
Thank you. I wrote this book about 9 years ago, and I wrote it because I was a former dancer. I grew up in a dancing school. Um, I owned a dancing school, and I'm recovered from anorexia. There weren't many books out about dancers' eating disorders, and I
Mm,
wanted to write something that people could use as a resource. And so I felt like I could look at it from all perspectives, since I had pretty much been in all areas of dance as well as recovered from anorexia.
mm.
So that's why I wrote the book. And so the book is about a guide to dancing without an eating disorder. So giving information to people so they don't develop an eating disorder. But if you do have an eating disorder, then it gives information about how to get better, where to go, how to get help, things like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Thank you. That sounds quite amazing, really. Could you please show it to the camera again just so we see
Oh,
it
sure.
again? Yeah. Quite amazing, really. Lovely name. Tutu Thin, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I love the sound of it. And now, apart from Mother, Men and Me and Tutu Thin, do you have any other works you've authored or say maybe currently working on?
In our society,
Yeah.
we are thought to believe that we need to grow up, go to college, get married, have children, and if we don't have children, then there's something wrong with you. So I'm writing a book about being childless, being child free, and how that impacts us in our society.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's just in the beginning of the working on it.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's basically trying to write a book about, it might not be in this particular order, because in life it seems to be working on a particular circle. Like sometimes I often get to think, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, yeah, it's a very good thing. But sometimes I often get to think, oh, you go to school, go to secondary school, go to high school, go to university, come out, get a job, then get married, get children, or old, die. I'm like, everything is more like a circle. Must it be this way? Sometimes I'm like, must it really be this way? So I think, and I love thinking a lot, actually. I just love asking questions and bringing on the ideas, developing a different world on myself. And I think it's very nice when you're doing that. I love that particular team, really.
Yeah, it's cyclical. So life is cyclical, but I think what I want to look at is when we don't choose the path that's expected of us, what
Mm,
happens?
mm. Yeah, yeah. Like when you're taking a long time before you get married, like something is wrong with you. When you're taking a long time to get it, something is wrong with you. So it must not be always on that labeling. It's more like we are just following on the particular long. It's a very amazing one. I don't want to delve too much into that yet, but that's very lovely to hear you working on something like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Now, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing your book and also ever since it got published?
I don't think it's the easiest process. It's I've self-published both of my books and partly because our publishing industry has really changed.
Mm,
And so with TuTu Thin, it was a very specialized book, and not a lot of people wanted to publish it because um, it was the audience was very specific.
yeah.
And I didn't worry about self-publishing that because I knew I could market it to eating disorder treatment centers, dancers, um, dance studios, companies, all of those kinds of things.
Mm,
Mother Men and Me, I really wanted to write, and I really hoped to be able to not have to self-publish it, but um, I also wasn't willing to just wait and wait and wait.
mm.
And I tried to get a literary agent, and that nobody was really interested unless you're a celebrity and you have a story to tell. So, um, so I decided to go ahead and self-publish it, and it's been a great experience. So,
Yeah,
um, and I would say to anybody listening, if you have a story to tell, tell it, and don't
absolutely.
wait for it to be published by a publisher or,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good one. And even a lovely advice you've got there. Also a bit motivating. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love the sound of it. Yeah, thank you. As a published author, I'd like to ask you, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with writing and publishing a book in your particular genre? What would you advise people in this category?
Um, I would say don't don't give up, don't give up, keep writing, set time aside to write every
Yeah,
day, set yourself your own deadlines, um, and join a writing group,
yeah,
um, go to writing conference if you can, but get involved with other people so that they can give you feedback, because
absolutely.
I think that's an important piece of writing, is to get feedback from other people.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very great one you've shared there. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now I'd also like to ask you about feedbacks and criticism. I know with different authors, we have different ways of reacting to them and taking them, but I'd love to have your take on criticism. How do you react to negative, feedbacks? Criticism actually, but I'd love us to talk a bit about the negative aspect here. How do you handle criticism generally as a writer?
I mean, everybody has an opinion, and
Yeah.
so we pretty much have to take it as it is, and, not everybody's gonna love what you write,
Not everybody's
and
cup
that's
of tea.
okay. Yeah, that's okay. You know, I think, you in this world, we have to develop some thick skin
Yeah,
and know how to, let things roll off our backs and not take everything so personally.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, there are people who are gonna like the books, there are people who aren't gonna like the book, and that is okay.
Yeah, yeah. I love your take on that actually. Yeah. It's sometimes some would like it, some would not like it. It might not resonate with some, while it might resonate with others. Yeah. If even the best of writers we have in the current world have, some terrible criticism and bad reviews. So it's expected. Yeah, I think it's expected. And again, if you want to long a career as an author, I've got so many people say this. If you want to long a career as an author, you have to be open and be ready for criticism, especially the negative ones. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If even if you want to long a career in any field at all, you have to deal with some terrible customers.
Well, and in any art form, people are going to
Yeah,
have criticism,
yeah,
dance. I was a dancer.
yeah.
People
Even
have
dance.
critiques
Yeah,
about it. Yeah. So
absolutely.
it's just something that, you know, is part of what you do, and you have to
Uh,
be able to accept it. So
Absolutely. Oh, I'm just kind of imagining how the dance one would look like. Like someone tell you, "Oh, you're not flipping your hands very well. Your leg needs to be a bit up. Oh, you're not turning a bit downward. You're not twisting enough. Oh, your head is too static." It's quite a fun one, really.
well, it's interesting because I think as a dancer, we get critiques, constructive criticism
Um,
all the time as a dancer in class. So,
mm,
try this a different way, or maybe
yeah,
it would be better if you did this, or you need to work on this. That's
yeah,
helpful,
yeah.
and I think even as a writer, it's helpful to be able to listen to what people have to say. And I mean, if the book's already published, not much you can do, but
Mm,
um, but just, take
yeah.
it in and take it as it is.
Yeah, yeah. I would like you to read a short section of Mother, Men, and Me to the audience. It could be a short line, it could be a short paragraph, or even a short page if you like to.
I'm going to read you the afterword. Um,
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we never know what is going to happen in our lives, but we are faced with decisions daily that can shift the course of our lives. I would not change anything about the decisions I've made. They have woven the tapestry of my life. I've been told by many, I've been told many times by others how interesting the story is and that I should write a book. It is a story I was so ashamed of for so many years because I believed that others would judge me if they knew the truth about my family. I often
Mm,
think about how it would have been different if I had been born in another era. Women have babies all the time now without fathers, and families look different from how we did in the 1950s when I was born. We
mm,
all have decisions to make every day of our lives. In my work with eating disorder clients, I call it the fork in the road. It's the decision to choose your eating disorder or the decision to choose life. The scary part is that we never really know what our life holds for us, but it definitely is better than the eating disorder. I feel grateful to my eating disorder and how it protected me during the time when I really needed help from my family. Yet I
mm.
needed all my inner strength to recover from this life threatening disorder that has the highest mortality rate of any psychological disorder.
Wow.
I chose life, and I was not sure what it would look like at all. When I drove my car with Will to Colorado, I was a young, naive girl who wanted something different. I'm not sure I even had a vision, but each road that I chose that led to a new path and a new discovery. I feel blessed to have recovered from anorexia and grateful to have the opportunity to work with clients I can help every day. I would not have
Mm,
chosen career if I had not had an eating disorder. I would
mm,
not have had an eating disorder if I hadn't come from the crazy dysfunctional family with a genetic predisposition for an eating disorder. My friend Bruce once told me, Dawn, you are the person you are today because of where you came from and then the mother you had. I believe that is true. She brought her own dysfunction to my life, but she also loved me and filled my life with fun and color. I think
mm,
about a kaleidoscope and the brilliant colors that change as you look through the lens. It reminds me of my mother and how bright her life was and how it was ever changing. I was devoted to her and recognized how I also resented her for the influence she had on my life. I wanted for so many years to write this book because I wanted to be honest, and I also did not want to disrupt the lives of certain people who would be affected by the truth of my story. Secrets keep us sick, and in my family, the secrets were generational. I decided they had to stop with me.
wow. Oh, wow, that's an emotional, that's a lovely recitation. I could feel in there the passion, the inspiration, and the yeah, the passions, the inspiration, the goal. Yeah, it reads like someone telling a story who is goal driven. Yeah, I love you talking about this actually. Quite very nice, really. And apart you mentioned
Thank
the
you.
dysfunctional family as well. Thanks for sharing. That's a
Yeah,
lovely
thank you.
presentation, really.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I enjoy listening to it. Yeah. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of the book or any of your books actually on internet. Yeah. On what platform are they available on for purchase?
Amazon.com. And also Amazon.com has both books, and Barnes and Noble has Mother, Men, and Me.
Interesting. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Dan Smith-Theodore's books directly on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and also another platform. I also left a link to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Dan, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome. And I must say it's more than awesome having this lovely, beautiful, and awesome conversation around your writing and literature. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Peter, so much for having me. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I wish you best of luck with your show and also with your writing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay.